Hey kids, guess what? It is time for roll call. We have attendance here at Tier Justice, Equity and Equality. So if you hear your license plate number, you're a suspect. GFS 4717 at 6:44 p.m. parked at the intersection of Woodbine and Midgard. This is from July 1st. I was unable to update my page because I was experiencing a 30-day ban and I was unable to update it. So I'm going through things now and updating it with you. I haven't contacted these people yet. I should. I'm going to earmark the page. It's a lawyer of my barber. And then there is a retired Franklin County Sheriff's Office person, Lieutenant Thomas W. Ward. And I have his phone number and email, and that was on the bulletin board at the barber shop. I should call those people. I contacted Microsoft. They were not able to help me, and I told them that I needed more information about a device that is on my account that is hooked up to the audio, but is not actually mine, and the location skips around. The case number is 104-122-6425. This is from, shoot, I'm not sure which date. Sorry about that. I don't have a date. HPZ3183 at 8:30 p.m. parked out in front of my house. DJE7228 was a white passenger vehicle that parked at the bottom of Arvid's driveway this morning. DEL 8044, a blue truck / SUV that is parked in front of my house. I've got everything written down where it cannot be erased or altered because it's in my handwriting. See? And you can read it on Facebook right now. Why would you be interested in my story? Well, you're about to find out in a few days how very important it is. Unless the police decide to silence me. They wouldn't do that. Driving home from Glen Echo Ravine, I took Woodbine and was glad that I did. An SUV was parked in front of Patty's, and the license plate I wrote down on a piece of paper so I wouldn't forget it. GTR 2831. You see, one of the nice things about Patty still believing things are legitimate is they continue to show up, as bold as that is. HLL 9533, that is a suspect of the impersonation of the Secret Service. That is the government that Patty keeps talking about. Here is a CIA tip E8QX2HQ6. Okay, that's it for that page. I am now on volume 10 of my experience. I want to find out who this guy is because he put me in a great mood. His name is Michael. He's a djembe player from New York City. JB27358. I saw him at the McDonald's, and he was an angel from heaven who has set me free to cry of my experience. There was also GNK 9227 and FPN 5695. I'm only this far into my new book. The first date on it was I can't tell. Here we go. HCD 3756. There was a white sedan. He wasn't there very long. And I almost forgot the numbers 2 hours later. But I remembered that I told myself to remember. 2 odd lucky numbers between 1 and 10. And then the middle number plus 1. 3, 7. Then the middle number 5. And one more, 6. Then there was the man who ran by the corner, and as he turned, he yelled, "Satan!" Shouldn't do that to a man of God. He walked his daughter's small bicycle back the following morning looking really depressed. And I thought for a while that he had lost his daughter. But then I saw her on the bicycle just a few days later. So all's well that ends well. My friend R.S. is somebody who I've known for a very long time, Brian Endicott. And I've asked him a few times to please tell me the source of his information from the neighborhood because it caused the last hospitalization. And that's a problem because it was a lie. There was no yelling match because I'm a slave. I don't talk outside for fear of people calling the police and performing a hospitalization. So my neighbors have silenced me. JOF 7232, a black pickup, early in the morning, lights on, in the street in front of Don Chance's house. HKS 3511, a black truck with a maroon hood. It's been parked out in front of my house since early this morning. I'm sure that there are some innocent people. In fact, I know that there is a crew building a very tall structured garage. So, yeah. There are people in the neighborhood that are probably completely legitimate. I haven't heard anything from the president's office at Ohio Wesleyan University, and that is a shame. I also haven't heard from the chaplain, which is also a shame, because I can prove the existence of God through my experience of being a victim of black magic. And I can prove the black magic, too, because I'm not believed of true things that I say. So everything that was done to me ends up being something that is to my benefit if I look at it that way, and I can use that information the same way. JBU 8066 is an SUV out in front of Patty's today. CIA contact UXQE3D2X. Indiana plate 55508. Could that have been a state vehicle? On the 14th of July, it turned around on Midgard at 8:20. He looked at me after I wove as he turned around in the intersection. I came up with the realization that since this technology is in the environment, that it will end up affecting man's ability to hunt for food if the lights go out. So that would be devastating. I also noticed that Bill's license plate no longer has 3 sevens in it. I believe it was HIP 9777. It does not anymore. It still has HIP. But the last 2 numbers I think are 56 or something like that. So he must have changed plates. I had lots of great plans, like calling Steve Daly and talking to him about a referral to a lawyer. But I need to be believed first. And right now I'm not believed by anybody. So my best course of action is not to use those contacts and resources yet. Soon, it's coming soon. Very soon. CIA tip S28ZXDYU. My new neighbor. Welcome to the neighborhood, 954FQB, Colorado plate. I've wove once. I hope he hasn't heard anything bad about me yet, because he's a new neighbor and shouldn't be drawn into the mix like Wade was. Whoops. JOQ3618, a new SUV, is, I believe, Arvid's sister or friend who came over. I remember her having an older model sedan, and she was driving a new SUV. He must be doing pretty well on that salary that you get for being a music instructor of film score. That's what he told me his job was. You know what would be a really good idea for the police to do? Is to pull Mr. Ashby's W-2s or tax returns to find out where he gets his income from. As far as I know, his business that he has, his company, is not registered to be able to operate inside of the United States. I want to check that too. A light gray pickup, JSE6179, and a red Ford off the driveway, HGC1712. CIA contact A5RJY18Z. We don't have too much more to go. So, the thing that keeps being repeated is that these are delusional beliefs. No, they're not. CIA contact 4FTCL9AQ. This was an important one because it is of the redhead stalker from 437 Como that when I came home from my hospitalization, when I had a cigarette in my backyard, he said, "Yup, he's back." Then there was a pause, and then he said, "He's in the backyard." I went, "What the fuck?" And I decided to go to the alley to see if I could pinpoint where he was. He came out of the garage, and I surprised him when he came around the corner of the garage. And he turned around quickly. He was still on the phone the entire time. So whoever he was on the phone with at that time, which was immediately after my discharge and when the cab dropped me off at home. So we're going to be able to pinpoint the man's phone number through the phone records of the redhead. So I found one of my remote captors. I think somebody using RNM. Because why would somebody on the other end of a telephone line want to know my exact coordinates? CIA report FQ12GVF5. And I talked about the devil in that report. I am going to start a new church organization, a new religious organization. It's going to be called the Church of Koi, Church of Intuition. Look for it. There are only 3 things that you need to believe before you can be a member, because it's a very intellectual group that's spiritually filled. You have to have a belief in God. You have to understand that 9/11 was an inside job. And you also have to know and understand we have never traveled outside our magnetosphere. And NASA has admitted that when they said, one of the largest challenges today is figuring out how to get beyond our magnetosphere. So, because it's a challenge today, it means that it didn't happen back then. Because if they did it back then in 1969, we'd be able to do it now. Simple. Simple, simple, simple. I don't have a voice right now, but baby, you just wait. I'm going to get my voice back soon. You're probably thinking, oh, he's just crazy. Nope, I'm going to get my voice back. CIA reporting DNA evidence to both CPD and Franklin County Sheriff's Department, with CIA report, and this was on the 19th or 20th of July, 3RGH3JJG. And when I talk about reporting of the DNA evidence, that would be the poopy bucket. So now everybody knows about the poopy bucket. CPD, Franklin County Sheriff's Department, and the CIA. They've been informed. A very interesting thing occurred. At 12:58, I believe Arvid came up the driveway. This is 1 a.m. in the morning. Came straight up the driveway, and at 1:03, Jayung came out of the house and pulled the Subaru into the driveway, so it was off the street. Arvid drove off and went somewhere at 1 in the morning. I came up with a new deal. I'm going to tell you about it in 1 minute. It replaced the lucky number 7 deal. A blue Prius parked out in front of Arvid's house had a couple in it, and the male that drove a car, license plate number JNG1377. He carried almost looked like an aquarium box, about this big, and it had a blanket on top. It was interesting. You might say, why is he writing all this down? Because it's all important. My neighbors mean business. And they do it out of their home right in front of me. Okay, I think. Oh, not quite. New York plate. DLW 1546. I emailed Frank Scolfani with the MCR unit. Hopefully, he's got some more things than rocks in his brain, and he is looking into things right now. It would be in his best interest. But we'll see. He's the one that told me, get this, in a document, he wrote that I was at FBI headquarters. I've never been to FBI headquarters. On June 23rd, 2022, when I was illegally detained because I dared to go to the Internal Affairs Bureau to find out why I'm having difficulty resolving crime in the neighborhood, MCR came and picked me up, interrupted the meeting. Rude. So, the other thing that Officer Scolfani said to me on that day was that my license was suspended. He was getting ready to tow my car. I need to know where he got his information from. This is very important because this is the leak from somebody who is trying to set me up and doing it directly with the police. So I need to find out what his trusted source is. The police aren't very good at documenting that stuff. That's a problem because it doesn't give me the right to face my accuser. So I think Officer Scolfani enjoys being free. He wouldn't want to be found guilty of obstruction of justice, would he? I'd like to find out who he is. If he says anonymous, it's going to be more money, CPD, please. Come on. Ohio temporary plate just beyond Patty's driveway. POO, almost spelled like poo. 8344. I also sent 2 reports to the Franklin County Sheriff's Department this morning. That is all that has gone on today and over the last 24 days. I do have some excellent news. I can combat anybody who says that they spoke with me on the phone. Thank you, Verizon. What you've just done is provided me with 90 days of phone records from my cell phone. That way, I can avoid the setup that my captor group has planned. So, Arvid, no, not this time. It's time to admit that you're addicted to getting me into trouble or ruining my life, and get yourself some help. It'd be a really good idea. You want to get better, right? I mean, you're suffering from a mental illness. You know what? You told me one thing one time, Arvid. So It wasn't very helpful for me, but maybe it'll be helpful for you. Quote, they can take care of you there. A quote on Mr. Ashby's door at Weigel Hall is, quote, if at first the thought sounds absurd, there is no hope for it. In other words, if it sounds crazy, nobody's going to believe you. Do you know what Arvid does? He spends all day thinking about future disasters to create for his victims. And then he has people do things. He instructs them on what to do. So he's like playing chess with real people. And he's stuck in projection. That's getting what he wants. And he has a technology. Yeah. My one neighbor who has brown, grayish, shorter hair and a tattoo right on the middle of her back and walking a dog. She is one of his doers. I bet on the day that I was writing up at Ohio Wesleyan 3 Sundays ago that his cell phone will have her number in it as far as texting back and forth. Because she texted back and forth the entire time that I was up in a patio on the academic side of campus. She hung out between the two buildings, the academic buildings. Yeah, it was pretty interesting. Anyway, I saw her walking her dog on the street, and I called her out, and I haven't seen her back since, so I don't know what happened to her. Hopefully she's okay. Arvid will be able to identify her. Arvid has all these people go and do things that are stalker behaviors. Stalking is against the law. That's not good. I've been stalked for 7 years. It's a long time. Anyway, that's it for right now. Stay tuned because things are going to get exciting. I promise. Maybe tomorrow.